This is News 10 Mornings.
Good morning to you on this Wednesday. It is May 22nd. I'm Kiva Arnold.
I'm Danielle. We want to start with breaking news because this is going to impact your commute. A major problem on Highway 50.
CHP is investigating a deadly crash there at the long westbound Highway 50 right near Stockton Boulevard. CHP has confirmed at least 4 people are dead, and Dan, traffic is just a mess out there.
Yeah, we are hearing that a couple lanes have opened, but this is going to be an ongoing situation all morning long. Let's check it with News 10's Haley Gunther. She had trouble getting to the scene because of all the backup. It's early, but still a lot of people affected by this, Haley.
That's right, Dan and Kiba. Very tragic situation. It did take me about 30 minutes to make my way to this scene here where California Highway Patrol is confirming that 4 people are dead as the result of this crash. I'm going to step out of the way to give you a live look at the action behind me. Now, this happened right around 2:30 this morning. California Highway Patrol got reports of somebody driving the wrong way on US 50 westbound. A Toyota Prius was going eastbound in the westbound fast lane. According to the officers here, the Prius then hit a Ford pickup head-on near Stockton Boulevard. CHP tells us the driver of the Prius and all 3 occupants of that pickup are deceased. There was actually a 3rd car involved in this crash as well. They're identifying that as a Chevrolet sedan. They say that that car was traveling westbound also when it became involved. That driver does have minor injuries at this time. According to the California Highway Patrol, they say this is a very active and ongoing investigation, and traffic, if you can take a different route, that's definitely a good idea to do that as these officers continue to investigate the circumstances behind this crash. I did ask an officer if drugs or alcohol are thought to be a factor in this deadly crash, and they tell me all of that remains part of this active investigation. Melissa, we'll send it over to you.
Haley, thank you very much. Appreciate the update of that investigation. We want to show you what the impact to traffic is right now. This is looking right before you get to the accident scene. Now, here you can see the accident scene. That's nearby where Haley was. On the right-hand side, you can see traffic getting through a little bit. CHP is basically saying the 2 right lanes have opened, but you can see traffic still very slow through the area. Now, those 3 lanes that remain closed, there is no estimated time to reopening those lanes. So these are some more live pictures from the scene, giving you a perspective on how bad the backup is this morning. When we talk about slow, and you can see the pictures, we're looking at 4 miles per hour due to this multiple fatality accident investigation. It's westbound 50. The accident was just east of Stockton Boulevard. Traffic at one point was taken off here at 65th, but we're now seeing slowing before that right near 50 at Howell. That's approaching Sac State as you make your way basically from Folsom into Sacramento. We're talking about the westbound direction. It looks like the backups are starting before 65th. So heads up for that. You probably want to exit before then if you can. Now, with the 2 right lanes open, that is helping, but we're still seeing traffic very slow, much slower at this time of the morning than we normally would. And look at this, drive times already reflecting that. It's backing things up overall, total drive times if you're coming in from further out. Into downtown Sacramento, once you clear that accident, things are looking better. We do have some other freeway closures. Interstate 80 continued work in Loomis. We'll detail that in just a minute, but we know a lot of you are getting ready to head out the door for your super commute. Did want to give you an update there. Tracy, Bay Area, things are looking good. We'll continue to follow this big problem into downtown Sacramento, westbound 50 near Stockton Boulevard throughout the morning. Right now, back to you.
All right, Melissa, thanks. All right, Melissa, thanks for that. We're going to start off with the temperatures yesterday. It was nice and cool out there. We had a little bit of wind as well in the 60s and 70s down low. Today's going to be a different kind of day. We're going to be warming up for valley spots, and we're also looking at more thunderstorms for the higher elevations. As you can see, above 8,000 feet, there was a little dusting of snow, and it's ongoing at the moment. There's just enough moisture to allow that to happen. And as you can see, we've got a nice area of low pressure down to the south, so this is pumping in the moisture that brings us this thunderstorm threat today. Notice the shape of this. This is for higher elevations on the east and the west side of the valley up to the foothills of the Sierra and the crest of the Sierra, and also on the north end of the Central Valley. So this is going to be a thunderstorm threat, not for everybody, but just for that area shaded in green. As you can see, we've got breezy conditions for valley spots, temperatures in the 50s, and we're warming up today close to 80 degrees. Can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm, but again, you really need a bit of elevation help to really see that thunderstorm threat later on today. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Rob. At 4:34, new overnight, Elk Grove police are investigating an armed robbery and shooting. A man was robbed and shot just before 10:30 last night. This was on Hume Court. There you see it's near Highway 99. It's north of Elk Grove Boulevard. The man was shot in the upper body. He was taken to the hospital. We don't know about his condition at this point. Two suspects took off running. If you've got any information, you're asked to please call Elk Grove Police. Now, we mentioned the nasty crash on Highway 50, another nasty accident overnight in Davis, a car and a train. It happened just after midnight at the County Road 32A and County Road 105 rail crossing in Davis. Now, according to the CHP website, this was a fatal crash. We've got to call into the CHP. We're trying to get some more information. When we get it, we'll have it for you, because at this point, we don't know what caused the crash.
Happening today, a controversial vaccine bill heads back to the Senate Health Committee for a vote. Introduced by Senator Richard Pan, it would prevent parents from seeking vaccination exemptions based on either religious or personal beliefs. Supporters say the measure would increase vaccination rates, but opponents say it takes away parental rights. So if passed, California would join only 2 other states with such strict vaccine rules. Similar proposals in Oregon and Washington failed to advance. There will be no public comment today, and we're going to hear more about this from News 10's Dina Kupfer, what we can expect at today's hearing that is coming up in our 5 o'clock hour. Well,
today's the deadline to submit comments to the Department of Water Resources regarding the plan to build 3 saltwater barriers in the Delta. The proposed project would fill material into about 4 acres of Delta waterways in Minor Slough. That's to keep the salt water out. Now, the location of this is about 5 miles upstream from the Sacramento River in Solano County. This type of barrier system hasn't been used since back in 1976 and 77. That was California's last year of extreme drought. An assembly bill that would require high school students to learn CPR goes to the Education Committee today. Now, we told you this was happening yesterday. Turns out it's actually on the calendar for today. It was introduced by Assembly Member Freddie Rodriguez. He says it could protect lives of anyone who suffers a sudden cardiac arrest. Students would be taught hands-only CPR. Learning mouth-to-mouth resuscitation would not be required. 21 states already have a similar requirement in place for high school graduation.
A Lodi man found guilty of planning a terrorist attack is appealing his conviction. Hamid Hyatt is serving a 24-year prison sentence after a jury found him guilty back in 2006 on terrorism and perjury charges. Prosecutors said Hyatt planned attacks on hospitals, grocery stores, and even government buildings. Much of the effort to get this new trial or vacate Hyatt's conviction stems from his current attorney claiming his trial attorney was not fit to represent him. The case has been moved to Redding from Sacramento after a year-long delay.
At 4:38, some other top stories that we're following for you this morning.
My son is missing, and you should be
that.
finding him.
We have thousands of cops searching
Okay,
the
but I'm
streets.
not letting you come in my house, especially when my husband's not here either, okay? It's not happening.
476. Well, this is a video that shows just what a difficult situation Fairfield police face this week after responding to an 8-year-old boy reported missing. We first brought you this body camera video released by the police last night at 11 o'clock.
Right, so this body camera video was released after video shot by the boy's father was released, showing his wife on the ground. She was in handcuffs. News 10's Ty Chandler shows us more.
8-year-old Brock was found safe and sound, but his parents say the Fairfield police could have shown more compassion. After all, you have a mother that had no idea where her son was and emotions were running high. But a law enforcement expert tells us that the police's first responsibility was to find the boy, and if the mother was preventing them from doing their job, then they had to do what they had to do. Fairfield police released 3 body cam videos from responding officers showing them trying to get access to the Guzman home to search for Brock. Suzanne Guzman repeatedly denies their requests, growing more irate as the conversation continues. Officers handcuffed her and held her to the ground. Now she is considering filing a complaint against the Fairfield police. Guzman reported her son missing Monday after leaving him in the back seat of her car asleep while the car was still running. Police now suspect a thief drove off with the car and the boy. Former Sacramento Sheriff John McGinnis says the first place to look for a missing child is usually their home, and in most cases, that's where they are found.
Taking those personnel away from their first order of business to check that home for the presence of that child I think it is contrary to common sense and contrary to the law. But in terms of any kind of significant misconduct or inappropriate behavior on the part of the police in this case, I frankly don't see it.
Now, Fairfield police say they saw a reddish-brown substance on the carpet near the entrance of the Guzman home resembling blood. That prompted them to act and end that conversation, though it turned out not to be blood. By the way, leaving a child in a car unattended or a car running is against the law. The Guzmans haven't faced any charges, but the kidnapping and the car theft is still under investigation. In the newsroom, I'm Ty Chandler, News 10.
One issue in our state's jail system has been overcrowding, but the San Joaquin County Jail has a couple hundred spots available each day. News 10's Tim Daly has more on why there are more openings in a typically overcrowded jail.
Monday of this week, there was room at the San Joaquin County Jail for 1,411 men and women. Just 1,176 were actually there. It is largely Prop 47 passed by voters that created that space. Minor cases of forgery, fraud, and drug use are now misdemeanors, not felonies like before. Sheriff Steve Moore says lower numbers gives his staff the chance to improve the people who are here.
It gives us the opportunity to work with these people. It gives us the opportunity to have them here longer, which means we have more opportunities to program with them, to be able to allow them to get better educational skills, better parenting skills, anger management, whatever, to hopefully cut down the recidivism.
Sheriff Moore knows population numbers can rise quickly during the summer when the temperatures and tempers rise. In Stockton, Tim Daly, News 10.
Meantime, we wanted to know how Prop 47 is affecting the Sacramento County and Stanislaus County jails. Only Stanislaus, though, County responded to our request. A document from February shows 673 inmates were released because of Prop 47, and 106 inmates came back into police custody one or more times. 41 of those cases were felonies.
A new DNA collection bill has passed the Assembly's Public Safety Committee. 5-1 vote on Tuesday. This was introduced by Elk Grove Assembly member Jim Cooper. What it does is allows police to collect DNA from criminals who've been convicted of crimes that were previously felonies. This is in response to Prop 47, which had reduced some felony crimes to misdemeanors. But because state law only allows DNA samples from those arrested for felonies, thousands were no longer required to provide it. The bill now goes to the Appropriations Committee.
Across America now, the Justice Department has opened a civil rights investigation into the death of a man who suffered a fatal spinal cord injury in police custody. Freddie Gray was handcuffed and put in the back of a police van that was in Baltimore, but he died Sunday. This was a week after his arrest. Exactly how Gray was injured and what happened, that is still unknown. 6 police officers have been suspended without pay.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture is working on a potential vaccine for bird flu. Since March, this latest outbreak of the deadly strain of flu has cost turkey and chicken producers almost 7 million birds. Now, if a vaccine is necessary, it'll provide a strain to private drug manufacturers, and then poultry producers would have to decide which birds would get the vaccine, how it might affect exports, and they'd also have to gauge whether or not it would, in the long run, be effective.
Let's check money headlines now. Google is set to unveil its new wireless service. The Wall Street Journal reports Google Wireless will allow customers to pay only for the amount of data they actually use each month. Google's service will run on Sprint and T-Mobile networks. For now, it will only work on Google's latest Nexus 6 phones. The devices will be able to switch between the two carriers as needed and is also expected to use Wi-Fi to cut subscribers' bills.
Well, Yahoo missed earnings forecast for the first quarter, and that disappointed investors. They were hoping for a rebound. Shares of Yahoo fell at first, but then the stock actually turned higher after CEO Marissa Mayer indicated that they're looking for ways to unlock value from Yahoo's stake in Yahoo Japan. One reason for the disappointing results, traffic acquisition costs. Those are payments made by internet search companies to other firms to direct consumer traffic to their websites.
444 is your time. A warm day here in the valley. It'll be pleasant, but do we have something brewing in the Sierra?
Possible snow. Rob's got the forecast next right here on News 10 Mornings. California's drought crisis continues to affect all of us, and the latest example is what's happening up in the forest. The U.S. Forest Service now coming up with a plan to reforest all that area that was burned during the Rim Fire a couple years ago. Well, if you're looking for a silver lining, the one here is that it means some jobs, because along with reforesting the area, the agency contracts out logging to many of the companies in the area. If all goes well, the Forest Service says that recovery will eventually take place. You know, geez, Rob, the time frame for it is pretty long because Mother Nature, she's got time on her side.
It does take a long time,
yeah.
You know, and some of those places hadn't burned in 30, 40 years, if not longer. So I just want to show you one satellite image. This was taken about a week ago, but this really tells the story. There is some natural recovery. Now, the forest is nowhere near as healthy as it was before the fire, but this is last year's King Fire. You could see the burn scar. Again, this is a satellite image from last week. You could see the recent burn scar and how much vegetation has been taken out, and then you go down to the Rim Fire, which was just a couple of years ago, and you could see there's been a lot of natural recovery. Now, this just tells you if there's vegetation growing there or not. It doesn't tell you, obviously, if there's any trees there, they're going to be very, very small, and any ground vegetation is going to be just getting going. But it does give you an idea of what a difference 1 year can make for at least the beginning of the forest to start to come back to life. Okay, we do see a little bit of rain in the area. We're looking at Arnold and Murphy's, and there's some light showers from some thunderstorms that have collapsed and just some leftover moisture. But this is where you want to look later on today, tonight, to see some thunderstorms pop up. It's not just the Sierra, but it's also the lower foothills out to the east side of the valley. So once you get in this transition zone, some of the thunderstorms this afternoon will start to drift over some of these areas: Placerville, Plymouth, Auburn, getting a little bit close to Wheatland, a little bit close to Yuba City. Can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm later on today for some of those spots, but the most likely place is going to be the lower foothill transition zone up to the crest of the Sierra later on today. We're starting off nice and quietly today in the 50s, and as you can see, there's a couple things happening. First of all, what brought us all the thunderstorms coming in from the east yesterday is this sneaky area of low pressure to the south. It's just pumping in moisture and instability, the key ingredients you need to get thunderstorms. We could see a few isolated showers in the foothills through the rest of this morning, but really prime time to see anything new is going to be later on this afternoon to the evening. The thunderstorms collapse, the sun goes down, and we could get a few isolated cells to drift into valley spots later on tonight, and then all of that drifts away from us through the overnight hours. So it's going to be kind of a complicated forecast, but hopefully it's laid out there for you. Okay, temperatures today are going to be, for the most part, up everywhere. We're looking at a mix of thunderstorms, and yes, above 8,000 feet. By early tomorrow morning, it is possible to see a few flurries of snow. It'll be cold enough to make that happen. Temperatures around Sacramento close to 80 degrees tomorrow. We will see one more system get close enough to us to drop the temps into the 70s, maybe an isolated shower on Saturday, and then right back close to 80 degrees after that. Melissa?
Good morning, Rob. Good morning, everyone. Quick check of our super commute Interstate 80 Bay Bridge. Traffic moving along fine if you're traveling towards the Bay Area along Interstate 80, but let's turn our attention to where we have our big problems of the morning. We're talking about into downtown Sacramento. 4-car fatality. Let me show you what the traffic situation looks like. News 10's Haley Gunther is live on the scene with the investigation of the fatality accident. Look at this. Traffic at a standstill. Traffic is getting through on the 2 right lanes. However, the 3 inside left or fast lanes remain blocked. No estimated time. Look at these pictures. How far is the backup this morning? Thanks to our live drive crew, there will be, again, giving you updates throughout the morning so you can plan for the impact to your commute. So here's one perspective right near the accident scene. Let's go to CG6. We'll show you another perspective on the backup before that. This is actually a real shot. Westbound 50 near 51st, traffic at a standstill. Just how far back does the backup go? The accident is westbound 50 just east of Stockton. But we're looking overall at a backup almost a house. So that's extending your drive times from Folsom now all the way into downtown. Just because of that delay, about a mile backup, heavy backup, 4 miles per hour. When we talk about slow traffic, you can certainly see just how slow from those pictures. So we pulled some sensor readings, excuse me, for you nearby to let you know, again, for a couple miles, 4 miles per hour. That is definitely contributing to a very rough commute. Where does the slowdown start? I want to zoom in a little closer. So in the corner there, you can see where Sac State is in the right corner. The backup actually starts just past that. So right around Howe westbound is where you see see traffic start to slow down. So be careful for that. Quick update, we had a full freeway closure, Interstate 80 in Loomis, still looking at 5 a.m. so the next 8 minutes or so to reopen. Have not been notified that they're wrapping up that effort. We'll show you what it looks like throughout the morning in the 5 o'clock hour. Some pretty amazing work done overnight, but still we're seeing a few delays. The detours remain in effect right now. Taylor, if you're traveling, also Sierra College. This will be the same case tonight, so be prepared. This is the 80 closure in Loomis overnight. Should be opening shortly, but plan again on the same situation tonight. And of course, we'll be updating this story throughout the morning on the 50 problems near downtown Sacramento as well. Back to you.
Melissa, thank you. We are talking jobs this morning, better jobs. Of course, we want you to be prepared before an interview. We always say that, right? Be prepared. Sure. But what does being prepared actually mean? So as part of Better Jobs Month at News 10, we want all of you to get a tip on some practical skills that might help you get a new job or move up in your current job. This week, we're following Rob Mazes. He gets ready for an interview, and we're helping him, partnering him up with a career coach. So the coach says it's important to research the company, but that doesn't mean just Googling around. Career counselor Naomi Kennert says one great strategy is to reach out to employees of the business you're interviewing at on LinkedIn to see maybe if possibly someone there can give you the inside scoop.
I would say, Janet, I found your profile on LinkedIn and I was intrigued by your background and history. I'm actually right now in the process of looking at some positions at fill in the blank name of the company, and wondered if you'd have a few minutes just to chat. Wanted to get your insights, perhaps, if you feel comfortable doing that, on some of the general information about what it's like to work at your organization.
The experts say this is a way for you to see what's really going on inside with the company. Right. So coming up in our 5 o'clock hour, we're going to learn how to handle those really tough interview questions and what you should never do if there's a question that you don't know the answer to. Okay. You just flat out, you don't know. All right. What you shouldn't do. Coming up on News 10 mornings at 4:30. If you enjoy cooking, we may have a job just for you. Yeah, we'll tell you who's hiring. That's coming up next. Let's talk jobs now. Today's Who's Hiring. Yard House Restaurant in Roseville is looking to hire a line cook. It is in the Fountains Shopping Center, 1166 Roseville Parkway. To apply, visit yardhouse.com. Once you're on that site, click on the Careers tab.
The food is delicious.
Okay, there we go. There you go. Well, you must not be cooking, correct? No, just double checking. Earth Day! Happy Earth Day, everybody! And the city of Sacramento is celebrating with their Earth Day commemoration. It's today from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's happening at Cesar Chavez Park. The address, if you're not familiar with it, 910 I Street. It's right across from City Hall. They're going to have all kinds of fun out there, a lot of vendors, and it's everything green, including tips on water conservation, sustainable gardening, recycling, and composting. So celebrate Earth Day. Celebrate the Earth. Happy Earth Day. Yeah, right? Yeah. We are not celebrating the morning commute. It is nasty out there. Melissa's going to have all the information you need as you make your way to work or school, so stick around. We've got 2 more hours of News 10 Morning right after this.